Alright, so here I am in my very expensive, very high quality, very high tech professional film studio, bringing you this video today about the titillating and exciting and thought-provoking subject of the connection or the view of Taoism and Chinese medicine on the usage of psychedelics, hallucinogens, as well as a general take on drug addiction. Drug abuse, whatever you want to call it. And first off, I have to say credit where credit is due. I'm going to be pulling a lot of stuff, if not blatantly stealing the ideas that a guy called Jost Sauer has put in his books and on his blogs, and as well as in his treatment and whole thing that he's got going on. He's an acupuncturist in Australia. He really has written books about drug addiction, drug abuse in the context of Chinese medicine. You should read his books and follow his work if you're interested in this and you want to learn more. But so that's what I'm going to be pulling from, because that's whatever. Anyways, credit where credit's due. So what is really the connection? What are we really talking about here? Well, I'm talking about generally in the idea or the desire to want to transcend the mundane world. And if we simplified the usage of these substances, whether recreationally or religiously or just not giving a fuck, whatever, in a simple way, that's really the underlying thing is, I need to just go to this other place that's more exciting, more alive, more spiritual, more divine, or more exciting or interesting than this boring, mundane world. And what most people think and believe is, first off, not even identifying that that's the underlying cause or desire. So they miss that. But beyond that, this whole desire is demonized. It is suppressed. It is, you shouldn't do that. You should just be content with your 9 to 5, and you should be content with McDonald's versus Burger King, or Nike or Reebok, or Pepsi versus Coke, or Denver versus Seattle. You should be content with all of this. Just do your job, do your work, stand in line, go to school, be who you are supposed to be, whatever. And we're supposed to just say, okay, and then maybe on the weekends we'll get some fun, and then maybe we'll have some beer with our friends, and it'll just be a jolly old time. Or now marijuana is becoming more legal in a lot of places, so you can just smoke a joint and unwind. Alright, in a generic, stupid way, that's kind of where we're at. But perhaps this desire to transcend the mundane is actually good and is normal. It's healthy. And it's something which can be a powerful catalyst for our personal growth and for us changing our life. And I've personally experienced this because in my early 20s, actually, I think the first time I smoked weed, I was like 14. Don't tell my parents. But I think I was like 14. It was just a one-time thing, but it totally blew me away. And it was funny because this was on like a Friday night. Me and my friend each smoked a joint. We got completely just wasted. The next morning early, both had a baseball game. I was up first to bat, and then I think I got on base I think I hit like a double or a triple or something. And then my friend who smoked the night before came up after me and hit a home run. So those things weren't at all connected, I'm sure. Just like that guy that pitched a perfect game on LSD or whatever. Those are just weird things that happen. But he and I thought it was hilarious because we thought, oh my god, we're screwed. We just destroyed our brain cells with this evil devil substance called marijuana. And now we have to play this baseball game. How are we gonna play baseball? And then it was fine. We thought it was funny. We were 14. Didn't really smoke again personally until I was probably 18 or something. And then about 18 through early 20s, smoked a lot of weed pretty much every day. Took mushrooms maybe 6 or 7 times. Took mescaline once. That's pretty much it. That's my drug career. And it was pretty much wrapped up by the time I was probably 21 or 22 or something, if that. I don't really remember. It's kind of a fog, if you can believe that. But anyways, what happened out of that is some good things, some not so good things, some mind expansion, some health problems that developed as a cause, some social problems, a lot of things It's a mixed subject for a completely different video because it's not the point of this video. But I'm just giving you some context that I know what I'm talking about from that perspective as a user in those times, and then basically since I was maybe 14 or 15, also having interest in Taoism and Zen, and then when I was in my early 20s, really getting obsessed, and then my mid 20s getting more obsessed, and then now that I'm 30, 31, getting even more obsessed. So it's perspective I'm coming from here. So this desire to transcend the mundane is actually good. It can be a catalyst for overworking our health, our relationships, our job, how we relate to the world, how we relate to ourselves, and ultimately coming to a place to where we practice the alchemy of self, where we realize, oh, the stuff out here is just whatever, but in here, in this thing, whatever the fuck this experience is, can be tweaked, can be played with, can be experimented with. And personally, I've also taken a lot of shit over the years from a lot of people because I posted videos talking about how and why psychedelics don't really lead to enlightenment. And people, oh, you're such a jerk. Haven't you read the study? Haven't you read the research? Marijuana does this and magic mushrooms does that. Oh, you're so stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. But really the point I'm making is that techniques and traditions exist to allow us to transcend things necessarily without substances and have experiences in our everyday waking normal life that are better than and superior to what drugs can deliver. And or the other benefit is that they're sustainable and there's not consequences, health, monetarily, socially, politically, with the legal system, whatever. The consequences aren't there because we can just be in a room by ourselves and do a thing and then, feel way better. Or we can work with our psyche and work with our mind and how we see the world and experience a transcendental reality or a mystical reality or a spiritual experience anytime, any place. It doesn't matter. We don't need anything. And to me, that sounds a bit more legit and more powerful because, yeah. And what I'm saying here is not one of these generic people that's like, oh, drugs can lead you to the top of the mountain instantly, but, you still have to climb the mountain through yoga or meditation or whatever, but they both lead to the same place. It's not really what I'm saying, because that's a little generic and really oversimplified, because ultimately, who fucking knows where either one really leads to, because no one knows. Because if they did, the world would probably be a lot different and it would be written down, but it isn't, because that's the nature of the mystical and the spiritual. It's not really, we don't know, and not knowing is what makes it what it is. So basically, that's the moral of the story here is, according to Taoist philosophy, Chinese medicine, you know what? It's cool that you want to transcend the mundane world. We get it. The mundane world blows. It's boring. It is what it is. And eventually we can get to the place to where we don't even divide between the mundane and the whatever. It's just the same unified experience. So we shouldn't suppress or deny these things. However, we should be intelligent and realize that there are consequences to things. There are side effects to things. And we should broaden our thinking out. Because the decisions that we make here now in the present moment in the short term plant seeds which play out over the long term. And just because a plant or a substance was used in a certain way by a certain culture at a certain time doesn't necessarily give us the right in modern times to fit it into our little context, because it's different. It's a different context, it's a different situation. It's a completely different conversation. I'm not saying these things are good and bad, I'm just saying it's a complex thing, and too often people are overly simplistic. So really what I'm suggesting and what I'm claiming that Taoism and or Chinese medicine would say about both of these things is that first, they're rooted in some sort of imbalance and or deficiency in the energy system, because the divine or the cosmic is our birthright. It is not something we have to be worthy of or we have to go through all this bullshit. It's just natural. This is just who we are. This is just what we are. Unfortunately, we've really fucked things up and the energy or whatever is able to really to flow, because for whatever reason in our minds we want to cling on to a bunch of bullshit that is actually not good for us and is actually counterproductive to us actually having the experiences that we want to have and experiencing magic, mystery, wonder, excitement, synchronicity, serendipity, whatever we're thinking that we're lacking. And then the way to do that would be really the classic Taoist Chinese arts of, the energy practices, Qigong, which just means energy skill, Tai Chi, which in many ways just came out of Qigong, so another energy skill, internal martial arts, internal alchemy, meditation, breathing, and then working with our mind and our psyche and our character, cultivating our Xing and our Ming, our nature and kind of our destiny, working on those things, working on how we relate to the world, working on our relationships, building a solid basic foundation, and so that we're actually in harmony with the cosmic cycles. Because believe it or not, the world is actually far bigger, more complex, and much different than our ridiculous little models of it. And however, there are cycles and there are energetic flows and ebbs that we can perhaps harmonize with to perhaps have something a bit more natural and something that allows us to get closer to our birthright. Because that's often the problem underlying the usage of drugs and substances. It's a lot of self-hatred. Oh, I'm a piece of shit, but if I just do this thing, then it'll magically cleanse me of all my shit and then I'll be better. Maybe for some people that's appropriate, but do we really need to extend that violence towards ourselves and towards other people? Because here we are, this dynamic, multi-dimensional thing that we want to reduce to a little two-dimensional representation. That's a little violent and subhuman, honestly. So, and then we also believe that the cosmic or the divine or the mystical isn't our birthright. It isn't something that any of us can easily access at any time and place, regardless. We think, oh, no. Only these few people in history have been able to do it. And they were lucky. They were God's chosen ones. But they told us things. And if we listen to the things that they told us, then maybe we'll get there too. When in reality, a lot of people don't realize that, for example, a lot of ancient texts, a lot of old books were sometimes just people's notes or people's maps or things that were relevant to that person based on their astrological influences, their congenital and acquired influences, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff which we don't even know about. So is it really appropriate for us to be like, oh, well, they did it? Well, I mean, everyone says they're cool, and it's really old. They have statues of the person, so we should definitely worship them. In many ways, that's basically saying, oh, my intelligence? Pff, fuck that. I don't need that shit. This person's got it. In reality, we're still carrying that same division and the same blah, 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 blah. But it's kind of the point of the video. I got off track. To get back to the point, a lot of people are doing drugs right now in history more than ever, and it sucks, obviously. People are in pain, people are suffering, people are just lost. I mean, I've spent most of my life feeling like that. Feeling lost, feeling depressed, feeling sad, feeling angry, feeling just like, fuck this. What am I even doing? Like, that basic orientation. And honestly, I still feel that way. But whatever, I accept it as just part of my experience, and I'm able to laugh and do things that I enjoy and work through whatever the fuck this thing is that's called life. So that's kind of where we're at. To deny that is stupid, it's ignorant, and that's kind of where a lot of governments and cultures are at. Oh, this is an evil criminal problem. We just have to put them in jail, and that'll solve everything. No, it's ridiculous. But ultimately, we can't blame those people or those institutions. We can really only look at ourselves, not blame ourselves, but just come to the realization that, okay, here I am. Maybe I can make different decisions. Maybe I can make different choices. Maybe I have some power. I don't know. Fuck it. Let's just try it. Let's just figure it out. Let's just see what happens. Rather than having to insist on this, oh, well, what's it going to do? What's it going to be like? Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? How long is it going to take? It's the wrong attitude. And further, we get into mind states where we're like, you know what? I've spent 20 years practicing pretty much all day, every day on how to be an asshole, to how to be judgmental and angry and just generally bitter. I've spent that many years practicing all day, every day. But now I read something online that said it's bad for me, so I have to get rid of it. What am I going to do? Help me. Tell me what to take. Or, oh my god, mushrooms? Magic mushrooms? Or marijuana? Or ayahuasca? What? It's ancient, it's sacred, it heals people, it does this. Oh, I'm going to take it. It's going to make everything better. Really? Do we honestly believe that's how the world works? I don't know. I'm not saying it does or it doesn't. I'm just raising the question. We say these things out loud because what happens is we think, okay, I spent 20 years really, really, really practicing this, but I need it to go away overnight. Really? Or sometimes people go and, for example, here's a story that a practitioner told me. Basically, a guy went to the doctor in the peak of liver season. The guy was kind of a woody, livery guy as it was. Went to the doctor. Doctor said, "Oh shit! Oh, your levels are elevated based on our testing and based on our bell curve. We need to get you on medication ASAP." So the guy came back to my friend and said, "Hey, these are my numbers, man. What do you think? Being a natural healer, an acupuncturist." My friend said, I wouldn't worry about it. You're a livery woody guy. That's pretty normal for you because your liver's always pretty active. And it's the peak of liver season. Give it a few months, go back and test it again. The guy said, okay. Gave it a few months, went back, tested it again. All of a sudden, normal. It's a miracle. What happened? How did he do it? What did he do? Nothing. I mean, we just have to look at the situation maybe from a slightly different perspective. But what happens is, why I tell that story is a lot of people go along and live their lives, doing their thing, and all of a sudden something happens. I have this thing, and now it's evil, and I have to get rid of it because I read and someone told me, and I have to get rid of it immediately. So we have this issue, maybe, and then we pile anxiety and fear and judgment and all this crap and salvational thinking and it's evil we have to get rid of. Pile that on top of it. So we have maybe an imbalance, then we stress on top of the imbalance, then we get worried on top of the imbalance. And then we expect that we're going to maybe do a thing and that's just going to magically get rid of it. And maybe that does happen. I'm not saying it doesn't, because these substances and many substances are very powerful and are very amazing. I mean, I've spent most of my life talking about these amazing substances and what they can do for us. However, that's not what I'm talking about. If you haven't noticed, what I'm talking about is the attitude, our attitude, because just like this, I'm drinking tea. Myself and the tea are not necessarily the same thing. My intention, my attitude, my awareness, my state has an effect on this. But not necessarily on this, but an effect on the nervous system, because the nervous system is the tongue and whatever's happening, which is allowing me to taste the tea. So depending on where my nervous system is depending on kind of what result I'm going to get from the thing. So that's just another layer and another complexity that I'm throwing out there. And read between the lines, see what I'm saying behind the words. More food for thought, maybe not. I don't know. This video's way over time. Thought it was just going to be 5 minutes, but fuck, it's been 20. So, moral of the story is, from a personal experience, now in my life, for the last however many years, because to be honest, as soon as I got onto like reishi and cacao and yoga, I was like, marijuana, what? This is stupid. It's illegal. It's expensive. There's like side effects. Doesn't always make me feel very good. I have to associate with a bunch of douchey characters. Cacao legal, reishi legal, yoga illegal. I think I'm gonna go with that. Working on my psyche, legal. All right, I can do that. Meditation, all right, legal. I can do all those things. Boom. So that's kind of where I did. But why I'm saying that is basically over the years, I've had countless experiences all the time, whatever, that are better than drugs. You know, just my basic, honestly, sometimes my basic, just normal resting state is on par with what people experience when they smoke weed. Uh, to be kind of a dick about it. Like, oh, look at me. Look at what I do. I'm so cool. But whatever. And also, a couple of years ago, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, I was like, oh, fuck it, I'm older. I'm going to smoke weed again. So, got some, started smoking, smoked a couple joints. Didn't really do anything. Just sort of annoyed my adrenals and my liver a little bit. And I was just like, this is stupid. Because Alan Watts said it clearly in that once you get the message, hang up the phone. And there's also, I can't remember which Zen guy said this, but he basically said, there's different schools of Zen, yeah. But basically, there's schools for quick-witted people and schools for slow-witted people. Meaning, if we have to smoke weed every day for 15 years to be able to access a certain state of consciousness, what if we learned to just access that state of consciousness by itself? I don't know. These are just questions. These are just ideas because I'm way off the fucking point at this point. But anyways, to wrap it up, highly recommend the work of Jost Sauer, and highly recommend that we as a culture stop demonizing and criminalizing this basic natural desire. Because in case you haven't noticed, there's a lot of bullshit in the world, and not everyone is necessarily that pleased about it. And the nature of human existence, according to the Buddha, is suffering. Because everything is impermanent, as everything is decaying, and there's not really necessarily any permanent self, but we believe there is, so that creates suffering in and of itself. So there's a lot of factors, there's a lot of reasons why a person would say, or even just, you know what, I'm stressed, I need to feel better. And that's totally fine. It's our right as a human being to decide what substances we want to, use and not. However, we also need to be fucking intelligent, common sense, and broaden our thinking a little bit and understand that there's a thing called sustainability. It's really interesting that hippies will get really pissed and be like, oh, they're putting fluoride in our water. They're chemtrailing. They're trying to keep us all suppressed. But then they sit around and just smoke weed all day and fucking play bongos or like do drum circles or interpretive dance classes. It's like, well, smoking weed all day, but angry over these people. Alright. So, there's nothing wrong with any of those things. I'm sorry if it offended anyone. I'm just having a joke. I've been to drum circles. I didn't really play them. I've played djembes. I haven't done interpretive dance, but I've definitely done a lot of hippie shit. So, I'm just kidding. Don't get mad. Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much. I think I've said everything. Hopefully you get the point if you're still awake, if you're even still watching, because this is long and it's probably boring. Yeah, that's it, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, thanks for watching this video. Hopefully it's been just amazing and really just thought-provoking, deep and profound and concise and eloquent and well-spoken. It's a big subject from big philosophies, but it's an important thing. And I wanted to share some of my own personal experience about it being someone who's been through a lot of the shit. And the resistance that a lot of people have is the resistance that everyone has as a human being. It's just laziness. Oh, fuck, it's going to require me to change. It's going to require work. It's going to require dedication, commitment, and maybe letting go of shit. It sucks. I'd rather just like chill or like buy some weed or like take a pill. But then again, it's really the question of what do we really believe about the world and the way it works? I mean, would we expect to be a millionaire just from like taking a pill? Would we expect to be a concert pianist from just watching YouTube videos? I mean, we would probably be insane if we were, but we expect other high levels of mastery in life from what investment? And we believe that, oh, I'm just going to get rid of my ego. But what ego are we really getting rid of? Is it like a healthy, strong ego? Or is it rattled with insecurity and bullshit and self-hatred and lack of awareness? And if so, what's really the point in getting rid of it? Who's going to want that anyways? Because we think, oh, I'm going to make this sacrifice to the divine or this divine being or this divine energy. You think that they really want it? Or like, I don't know. This doesn't really make sense. So we just have to understand we start from where we are, and eventually maybe we find something that we really love, we get obsessed with it, and we go for it. Maybe we don't. Whatever, it's fine. It doesn't matter. Maybe our whole thing is, yeah, we're just going to smoke weed all day for the rest of our life, and that's it. That's whatever. That's cool. That's what you want to do. So it makes you happy. It's your right to do it, and I don't care. I'm not here saying you should or shouldn't do anything. I'm just presenting some kind of philosophy. Maybe. But last thing I'll say is that these experiences are nature. It's natural. It's not necessarily otherworldly. It's all around us all the time. We just don't see it. Like so many of the other things that are all around us all the time that we just don't ignore because we haven't ever really paid attention and or we're just not sensitive to it. But we can be, perhaps, if we decide and dedicate ourselves to it and work at it. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this was good. Subscribe, like the video, post comments, and I'll talk to you soon.